ever been to press conference?
Yeah, I had balls, right? 17 men. My boyfriend speak
Different
with a
uniform.
hawk. Trying to swim across the observation point.
What's up?
Good morning.
It's all good?
You already set up?
Hope so. Waiting for William to confirm.
How you doing, preacher?
Good. No, good.
Use me, Lord. Use me in your service. Use me, Lord. Use me in your service, Lord. Come on and send your power. Tried everything. You can use me, Lord. Here am I, dear Jesus. Take my hands and use me, Lord. My heart and use me, Lord. My mind and use me, Lord. Come on, dear Jesus. I need you, Lord.
One of the sounds of the sacred voices. And just in case you wondering why you've been in the belly of the well, you heard what they just said. The Lord is using you. He's using what you're going through to be a testimony to somebody else. That you would not faint and lose your courage. It's all right to get weary in your well doing. It's all right to get weak in your well doing. But don't forget where your help comes from. Yes, indeed. With all that being said, y'all, it's about time to get up, get on out of here. About time to put my feet on the floor. The big white hat out the door. But keep it locked on your superstation. The J getting ready for the open line. Well, you got to have an open mind. And y'all get ready for a great show on today. You got one more song, and then we're going to turn it over to Brother J. But keep it locked on your superstation. KIEE 88.3 St. Martinville. KZJM 92.7 Jam Central. Right on the north side of Lafayette. And KOCZ 94.9. In Opelousas with the cowboy preacher, sound of DJ Hart. DJ Buddy Love, DJ Papa, DJ Smile, and Old Horse Trigger. Long New Horse Spirit, DJ Nate, DJ Logic. And don't forget Baby TJ. Bringing the very best of inspiration of gospel music straight from the heart of God to you. God bless you, we love you. Walk with me.
Hear that house.
The sounds of the sacred voices.
Lord, I'm down here walking. Sometimes I can't find what I need. I try to do things on my own, but I know I can't do this thing alone. I drop to my knees, I look towards heaven, and I ask him, please, Lord, I'm down here. Oh, this latest journey, Lord, I want Jesus, Jesus, hold my hand, Lord,
You got extra chair to put in the hall like that for me? Yeah, put in my chair right there in the hall.
Attorney gonna speak to
Got that mic set up.
be my friend, Lord, Jesus, be my friend. Be my friend, Lord.
Ready, ready?
Be my friend.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ready?
I'm plugged in.
Come down, listen. You know, people do something.
I don't know. I got myself all the way up.
8149. That's Finder speakers.
That's all you got. And we're not registering on the meter for some reason.
I'm hearing it on the radio, on the phone.
You hear it?
Mm-hmm. But it's low.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. I got the full output over here. The way it's going into here.
What do you call, what do you think?
Louisiana Superstation presents the community's #1 radio talk show, The Open Line. If you have an open mind,
All the way in. The output's all the way. Okay.
There you go.
I got it.
Keith.
Greetings, brothers and sisters.
Love you, Keith.
Welcome to
All
the
right.
Open Line.
My
I'm
fault.
Brother Jay. I'll be here with my co-host, Sister Khadijah. Stay tuned and relax for the Open Line.
See, when we used it yesterday,
KIEE
homeboy changed my set.
88.3, your superstation. Welcome to the Open Line.
So we good.
Yes.
If you and opinion,
Okay.
yes, so of those
Just tell me about your level.
and callers are not
All right, you-
necessarily those
If your level.
KIEE 88.3 staff or
I
managers.
can't finish.
Steve,
I can't.
your card on the week.
Well, don't go over there.
Okay.
Jump over.
Thank you, preacher.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. All right.
Thank you. One more time. One more thing.
Good show, man.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, put this
Because
over.
I'd have called and used it.
Guess Anthony said, I never seen you do so many background things like this. Red TV.
Got the phone cut off.
Too loud.
It could go up some more.
All right. Remember your mind's right here. Let me get this right. Yeah, I go again. When you come in late, me like myself.
What you want to know about today? I want to talk about TRO and protective orders and then whatever other stuff too. I told them I was going to talk about that later.
Okay, that's what we have.
Let me know if you're ready, Khadijah.
Ready?
Khadijah,
Yes.
you on?
Yes, good morning. Hotel Pabariganya, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your sister Khadijah, and we are here with our other assistant, Brother Jay. Queen Nzinga is in the background somewhere, and we do have Attorney Dua that's going to be giving us some information on protective orders. We want to thank AOC for coming and videoing us. We also have another spectacular program going on. We have Mr. Anthony Navarre that's going to be on at about 9:40 a.m. We also have Councilwoman Dee Dee.
Yes, excuse me. Good morning, South Louisiana listening audience. Welcome to another edition of the Open Line Radio on KIEE 88.3 FM and AOC Community Media channels, Cox 15 and LUS 3. Again, Sister Khadijah, we always want to thank the staff and management of Southern Development, Mr. John Freeman, helping facilitating this show. All the wonderful staff and DJs that makes this station go, and also thank AOC Community Media for allowing us to broadcast simultaneously.
Yeah, so we're gonna get right into it. Attorney Dua, and we've been getting a lot of compliments. They love the factual information that you've been given, and we're gonna go ahead and just start off with protective orders, because that was one thing that kept on being raised up on the last program of Ask Your Lawyer.
Good morning, everyone. Attorney Dwazindra Smith here. And before we get started, I just want to throw the disclaimer out there that any information obtained here today should not be construed as legal consult or legal representation or legal advice. If you need to speak with an attorney, make sure you call one and get a consultation. If you need any information from me or like a consultation with me, you can call me at 337-948-8008, extension 3. I'll say this 2 more times because I had An older lady contacted me and she said I was speaking too fast, so I'll say the number 2 more times. 337-948-8008, extension 3. Last time, 337-948-8008, extension 3. And like Sister Khadijah said a few minutes ago, last week I was in court, and I was in court for a protective order. So I told y'all last week that I would talk to y'all this week about TROs and protective orders. So we can just jump right into that. So as far as a TRO and a protective order is concerned, when you file paperwork, the first thing that you would get if it's granted is going to be a TRO, or a temporary restraining order. That's what TRO stands for. And when you go to the court date, you're asking the court to then grant you a protective order. So 2 different things. The TRO is what's called ex parte, or in other words, there's no hearing before it's granted, if it's granted by the judge. And then there will be notice for the protective order hearing. So let's talk about how you can get a TRO and how you can get a protective order and the reasons. So a TRO and a protective order, the bases, 4 different things: domestic abuse, dating violence, non-intimate stalking, and then non-intimate sexual assault. So as you can see, there's 2 different categories. So one category is going to be there's some type of dating relationship, and the other category is going to be there's not any type of dating relationship.
Yes.
You had a question?
No, I'm just
Okay.
waiting for you to go through. But I want to also mention to our listening audience about how COVID, the Delta virus is highly contagious. 90% of the hospitalization are people who are not vaccinated. People who are not vaccinated.
Absolutely. I saw those numbers. I think yesterday they had an article that said the exact same thing about 90%
Right.
that they're currently seeing in Lafayette Parish is people that are unvaccinated. So, think about it. Make sure you go and get vaccinated if you can. It'll definitely help you. I'm vaccinated, and like I tell my friends, I'm still in code 2,
Yes.
phase 2, because I'm still wearing my mask.
Oh yes, oh yes.
So make sure you're doing everything to keep yourself, your family, and everyone else protected.
Yes.
All right, so as far as the defendants, so the categories of defendants are current or former spouse, current or former intimate cohabitant, child, stepchild, or foster child, child of defendants, current or former intimate partner, and a protected person and a defendant having a child. So that means that you can put yourself, and then if you have a child with the defendant, you can put your child on there as well. And then there's also current or former dating partner, parent, step-parent, or foster parent, grandparent or other ascendant, grandchild or other descendant, child currently or formerly living with the defendant. And then, of course, that category that I was telling you about where there's no dating relationship, there's gonna be stranger, no relationship, or acquaintance, co-worker, neighbor, or other. And, of course, I mean, you can file a TRO or protective order. It won't just get granted automatically, but of course you have to prove your case and show different grounds as to why you feel you should be granted a TRO or a protective order.
Attorney Dewar, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What, the language of those type of situations have somewhat changed, over the last coming years. And what constitutes what you call human trafficking? Is that connected to, abuse and stuff like that?
To the TROs and the protective orders? Or just in general?
Yeah, where someone will be pushed, to do something against their will, in domestic court,
Well,
human trafficking, is that coming under that category?
no, they don't usually have human trafficking that comes under this, but human trafficking is something different.
Okay.
That's actually criminal in nature.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be totally different.
Okay.
Now, exactly what you were, when you were speaking about. Now, I don't know. I think just this week we had a horrible case of domestic abuse, and all the lady wanted to do was break up with the guy.
Right.
With that, and he put fire on the little nephew. The little child died. I think today is gonna be a release balloon party for the young man. So the TRO, I mean, how effective is it when it comes down to defending your life? Because it's supposed to be protecting your life.
I think a lot of times that is very effective. I mean, again, it just depends on the type of situation that you have and the type of defendant that you have. And what I find in a lot of these situations, because the TRO is granted first, and then you have a court date, then you go for a protective order, which is to try to get an extended period of time for a protective order. A lot of times I feel like the judges, they almost have to grant the TROs based on the facts. If it looks like this is something that would rise to the level of being under that protected category, they sign it. And then, of course, you could get to court for the protective order and you don't have like any evidence, because the TRO is not granted off of evidence. But once you get a protective order, it does go in what's called the Louisiana Protective Order Registry. So if you have to call the police or something, the police are able to pull that up and see that that's in the protective order registry. So I feel that a lot of the times that is very effective. And like the situation that you're talking about, another thing that I think that the judges do, that they err on the side of caution. Because let's say if it was a TRO that the victim tried to get and it wasn't granted, then it's kind of like, you know, they asked for a TRO and it wasn't granted.
Yes.
So I think a lot of times that's what the judges do on that as well because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and of course our deepest sympathy go out to both of the family members, both of the families that experienced this type of atrocity. You're here with Ask a Lawyer, Attorney Dwa, and the telephone number to reach us is 337-534-0036 or 337-534-0042. If you have a question or call, you can call in. Also, we're streaming live on the World Web at www.KIEE883fm.org.
Also on the Facebook page of the Open Line Radio Show, we are streaming live.
Okay.
Right. And make sure you call in if you have any questions on this topic or any other topic. I just wanted to talk to y'all about this because I was in court for it last weekend. There are a lot of people that are in court on these days, so it's a topic that we definitely need to discuss.
So you were representing someone who wanted a protective order.
Well, I was representing someone where the TRO was granted and then a protective order was wanted. So I had to have a hearing on it, which is basically like a mini trial.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's get back to the type of things that you can ask the court for and ask the defendant not to do.
Okay.
And I am reading directly from a pleading, just to note, so y'all know I'm not just making something up. This is actually what's filed with the courts. So you can ask for the defendant to be ordered not to abuse, harass, assault, stalk, track, monitor, or threaten you in any type of way. Ask for them not to contact you through a third party. So if they're not contacting you, you also don't want their friends or family or anybody else contacting you as well, because that will be a violation of this as well.
Would Facebook be considered a third party?
Okay. Yes, if people are contacting you through Facebook, if it's them or their family, friends, anything like that, if this is in place. So absolutely. You can ask for them not to go within 100 yards of you, for them not to come to your residence, for them to stay away from where you work, your employment, or your school. You can ask for them not to damage any of your belongings, because of course a lot of times people want to cut ties and whatever, burn clothes and do all kind of stuff that they're not supposed to be doing. So you can ask for that as well. Now, if it's a situation where there's dating or a dating relationship, you can ask for them to grant you use of the house. So it's like a situation where y'all are married or something like that. You can ask for use of the house and for them not to come to the house. You can also ask them to have the sheriff's office accompany you to the house if there's anything that you need to get from the house and they're in the house, so that you don't have to go by yourself.
Yes.
You could ask them, again, if it's a marriage type of situation, not to mess with any of the community property. So do not be getting rid of any cars, houses, or anything like that.
Joint banks account.
Exactly, bank accounts,
Bank account,
anything, all that kind of stuff.
yes indeed.
Okay, you can ask them not to interfere with the physical custody of the child. You can ask them not to try to evict you from the house. And then if there's a child that's involved, you can ask for child support. Or again, if it's a marriage type of situation, you can ask for spousal support. Now, of course, this is gonna be temporary. And it expires within a certain amount of time that the court sets. You can ask for them not to contact your family members or any of your acquaintances. Because a lot of times they'll say, okay, well, I can't contact you, let me contact them to get to you. So ask them not to do that as well. And then these are the things that the court can grant against them. They can make them pay court costs, they can make them pay any type of evaluation fees, attorney's fees, expert witness fees, cost of any medical or psychological care, anything for you, the minor, anything like that. And then of course, the court will set that for a hearing for a protective order.
Okay. Is there anything such as emergency conjunction?
Injunction?
Like an emergency injunction,
Yes.
as far as,
Well, we got into it yesterday, and I need to go to the courts, today, for an emergency because I really believe that he's going to, try to, hurt or kill me.
oh yeah, so that's basically the equivalent of an ex parte. So if you get the ex parte granted, the ex parte, that's an order. So that's for them not to do anything to you. It's for them to stay 100 feet away from you, all of this type of stuff. So it's the same thing that you're asking.
Okay, yes ma'am. And the telephone number is 337-534-0036, 337-534-0042, and you can also get us on the World Web at www.KIEE883fm.org. Brother G, where else?
Well, we, when it comes to protective order, is there also any type of support for the individual? Because it happens to men and women, so I'm speaking from a male perspective. Any kind of organizations or auxiliary group that the court would refer the victim to?
Oh, to help with it?
Yes.
Okay, so they do have an organization here called Faith House, and they have a great attorney over there, Geraldine Seifker.
Okay.
She helps a lot with these types of situations. And then also, if you can't afford an attorney, like we talked about before, Acadiana Legal Services, they do have the Lafayette Volunteer Lawyers, and I've done a lot of protective orders through that as well. So they do have that program as well. If you feel that you cannot afford an attorney and your income won't allow you to afford one, you can go through them and see if you can get an attorney to represent you pro bono.
Yeah, I have another question. Who have the rights over the children when once situation come about? I think that's the question, Mr. Anthony, that would give.
Yeah, and who have access to the children?
Who have access to the children and who have the right over the children.
Okay, so when the ex parte is granted, the person that's granted custody of the children, that's who has the rights to the children until the court date. Because the ex parte is temporary. It's a temporary restraining order, so it's temporary until you actually get to court. And they'll usually expire on the date of court.
But in the meantime, do I get to see my children? Say, if I'm the one who the order is again, can I have access to my children?
It depends
Can I
on.
speak to them and see them?
So the question was, because I don't know if y'all can hear it, the question is if you're the person that the order is against, do you have access to your children in the meantime? And the answer is, it depends on how the order is worded. So if the petitioner, which is the person that files for the temporary restraining order, if they are granted sole custody or temporary sole custody of the kids, you don't have access of the kids. Now, if there's something that says there's temporary joint custody or something like that, which usually is not the case, because with these situations, it's an escalated situation. But if there's something that says joint custody, then you have access to the kids. And what they do with those types of situations, when they have the protective order hearing, they'll set some type of custody right then. But again, even that is not permanent custody, so you still need to file in the court for custody with your kids to get what's called quote-unquote permanent custody.
Yes, and I know the way the court system work, it's supposed to be for the betterment of the family. I was just wondering, since indeed, what happens when the woman is actually the aggressor, and the man is not? I mean, it works the same way for her as well as it does for him?
Oh, absolutely, it works both ways. And that's one of my main things here, that I want to dispel the myths that everything is geared toward women.
Okay.
If the woman is the aggressor and the man needs to seek a TRO or protective order, he can do that. Because there's definitely a lot of TROs and protective orders that are granted in favor of men. So it's not just a remedy for women.
Yes, ma'am. Call in with your question or comment. Ask the law, your attorney Dwan, right here in Southwest Louisiana at the Superstation, KIEE 88.3 FM. Brother G?
Yes, she good at catching me off guard. Thank you, sister. As much as you recommend someone also to contact a attorney, let's say you call an attorney up and you can't get immediate help. What's the remedy for that? And how much are, once you get down that road and you wanna expedite it, and so you figure, well, I got money, maybe going to attorney and setting a price, will most attorney work with you when it comes to a situation like that, or they'll recommend some type of pro bono type situation?
Well, I have a couple of different things. The Lafayette Bar Association, they do have something every Friday. It's called Counsel on Call. So I think that's an hour that there are attorneys there. I've done it several times before, that if you have any questions, you can come and ask an attorney, kind of like this, ask a lawyer, the situation that you have, so they could guide you in the right way. And then also the clerk's office, they do have people in the protective order section of the clerk's office that will help you with those as well. They'll actually help you fill out the paperwork if you can't afford an attorney right then. So later, if you can afford one before the hearing and you've already filed it, then an attorney can get that and take over. But I always advise people to get an attorney, because y'all have not been to law school, you haven't been trained in this, you haven't been practicing this, and you don't know the ins and outs of it. And of course, when you go to court, you have to present your case, which means that you have to have evidence. You can't just say, he said, she said. You need to actually have something to substantiate and back up what you're saying. So us attorneys, we know how to do that for you.
Yes. Caller, you're on. You have a question or a comment for Attorney Dwan?
I have a question. In case if you want to open up your home, like when they have to pull the kids and you need somewhere to put them, so how you go about want to be open up your homes to them?
Open up your homes to what? Say it again, ma'am.
Like sometimes they have children, they need to place them in homes till they get till they get straight. So how do you go about being as a open up your home and what you have to do?
Okay, so that sounds like you're talking about a foster care situation. So
how do you go about that?
What I would advise you to do is to get with the proper authorities on that from the state, and they have a procedure as to what you need to do, because you're gonna have to provide different paperwork, show that you're stable, that you can take care of the kids, all of that type of stuff. It's a whole process. So I would advise you to get with them on that, so they can tell you exactly what's needed.
Do you have a number where I can call them?
No, we don't have a number offhand, but just look for foster care. And look for foster care, because they have to send you through vigorous background check, because like when they do send the child to you, it's like at the last minute, it's like an emergency. So you have to already be embedded in the system in order to try to give help on behalf of the children.
Right, and I was gonna say, I just Googled right quick for you, and I see a couple different agencies. I see one that says Foster the Love Louisiana, that's in Lafayette, and that phone number is 337-205-2155. Again, it's 337-205-2155. So you can call them and they can point you in the right direction.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, that's an entirely, whole process.
Oh, yeah.
Because you gotta do.
Like you said, that's rigorous. Like, they put you through a lot to try to be a foster parent.
Yes, yes. Go ahead, Attorney Duan.
Okay, so back to the TROs and the protective orders. Now, they do have a section on here where you can write down the incident of what happened. And then, of course, when you come to court, it'll be in more detail. And then they have a section where they talk about past incidents as well. So you can list that as well. And then, as far as any evidence, if you have any type of text messages showing what the abuse is, any type of emails, videos, stuff like that, that's the type of stuff that you're going to want to bring to court. Now, most courts will not let you bring your phone in, so you want to make sure that this stuff is on a jump drive or something like that. Because if it's not and you're trying to show it on your phone, you have to put your phone in evidence, and I'm sure you don't want to turn your phone over to the court. So this is one of the main reasons that I advise y'all to get an attorney, because we know the proper way to do it and to get the evidence to the court.
Yes, calling you on, you have a question or comment for Attorney Duan?
I have a couple of questions dealing with protective orders. Recently I went on a job interview, and the job interview required that I have a background check. However, my record in terms of from criminal and civil is relatively clean, with the exception of having this protective order by my spouse. My question is, in this, does a restraining order affect my record? Would that be seen within a criminal background check if one is applying for a job? And my second question is, how do I fight a false order of protection? Again, and not getting too open about what's going on. A lot of things that happen in terms of this protective order is based on lies. So how do I fight a false protection order?
Okay, those are some good questions. So for the first question, as far as whether or not it affects your background, it could, because you have some agencies that do a deeper search than others. So like I talked about before, if there's a protective order that's granted against you, that goes in something called the Louisiana Protective Order Registry. And if they search that and see your name, then, it's found. So it just depends on who the employer is. The second thing, as far as trying to fight it, I'm not sure where you are in the process, but based on the first question, it sounds like it was already granted. So if that's the case, your appeal deadlines, they have already run. The time to fight that would have been when it was first filed against you, because you have a certain amount of time to do certain things. So if it's already granted against you, it's too late to try to fight that, because it's already been granted. So again, that's why I advise y'all to get an attorney for these types of situations.
And and you say that it's already been granted, that mean automatically that when the judge heard the case, he believed the woman, and he or she decided to grant it? What she was saying, because he's saying is that it was a lot of lies.
Right, but I'm just going based off his first question. He said something about them picking it up on his background. So if they're picking it up on his background, that leads me to the conclusion that it's already granted. He can call back in though and let me know if I'm wrong, but that's what it sounds like based on what he's saying. And as far as anything being granted on any lies, I'm not sure if you have another one or if that's the same one that you're talking about, but
sir,
is that him?
Yeah, that's him.
Okay, all right.
So you go back and reiterate what you was saying.
I was basically asking, and I understood the answer to the first question, but in reference to the second question, it's pertaining to after a protective order has been imposed by the court, and then some additional information come out in terms of one of the parties actually lying. and the line could be verified by way of text, by way of whatever. Can one who has the protective order placed on him, can one go back in the court to show the false accusations with the evidence law, whether it's a witness or text message or some emails that comes up? Can he goes back, or can she go back to fight the protective order after it's been imposed? That's my question.
Okay, all right, thanks for, you can leave him on the phone, because I might have some more questions for him. Thanks for that added commentary. The first thing, if there's some type of lies or something that can be proven, so you're talking about a situation now where there's going to be perjury, so that's criminal in nature. So I would get with an attorney on that, and then as far as the protective order is concerned, you can try to seek to get it modified based off of that if you can show that. But again, you'll need an attorney for that, because I don't know if that's something that you'll be able to handle yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So with that in mind, can a protective order, can it go both ways? You know, like if the protective order imposed upon me, and I'm getting this slack from the person that had the protective order placed on me, and you know, where I'm being harassed and stuff. Can I put a protective order on her from harassing me and stuff like that? If there's evidence to show that?
Yeah, if you have the evidence to show that and you have proof that arises to the level that meets your burden, then you can file one yourself, and the court will just have to determine whether or not that should be granted or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
And when you continuously mention, go ahead and have an attorney, go and have an attorney, and I totally agree with that. I had a case where they had, someone was claimed to have run a red light, and when I wound up going to court about it, the judge, found me guilty, and I'm defending myself and everything, and it should have been like a black and white case, you know, right or wrong, but it didn't happen like that. He actually found me guilty of running a red light, when in actuality I was trying to show him that his police officer was lying or half blind, and it didn't go like that.
Mm-hmm. And you were representing yourself?
Well, yes, because
Yeah.
it was a simple case. I mean, you know, it was just a simple case. You know, you ran a stop sign. No, I didn't. Wind code, and everything. Well, then the police officer, he got on the stand, and he said yes, she ran the stop sign. And I asked him, what was it? Do he know the penalties for lying under oath? And he told me, yeah. So it's like the judge just found me guilty for running the stop sign, and in actuality, when I hadn't. So it may seem minute right now, but it's really serious.
Right.
In a sense, because that you know what your court system is. What I mean, and
Right.
they're not always up and up.
Right. No, I agree with you. And the problem sometimes is when you're trying to represent yourself, you may not say things in a proper way. And as attorneys, we know legal jargon and we know how to word and craft things. And, you know, that's the difference. So again, I always advise people to get an attorney.
Okay, caller, you have a question or a comment?
I have a comment and a question. I'm gonna go with the question first. To ask a lawyer. And it's part of what she just said. It's amazing how this game that our legal system plays with the people. And what I'm trying to say is what the lawyer just said. You see, we can speak to them in our way of presenting something, but they act like they don't understand us when they do, because we're speaking the English language. So when we talk to officers or judges or lawyers, we're speaking the English language. That's the language of the United States of America. So they can't act like they're ignorant and they don't understand us. And then we have to then turn and thanks for this lawyer and some that do this, give us ask a lawyer time, which is free. turn to attorneys, attorneys have to make a living. So when we turn to them with a question that the judge and the courts could have answered, now we have to go in a paying process that the attorney, like this person here,
Sarge.
a lawyer, then they gotta start speaking this legalistic jargon, and we all.
Can the caller put
No, we
it?
understand the jargon.
Can the caller? Can you put it in the question? Excuse me.
My comment, but here's my question.
Caller, I turn your mic down because you have to put it in the question.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. I'm gonna ask the lawyer this. And
Let's go on to the next, because he has to put it in the question because we have some other calls.
How do we stop our kids from getting slaughtered with bullets? And how do we charge whoever is to be charged? Because I know at some point in time, those families who've lost these kids
He's
over
not on
the
the air.
past weeks,
You ready?
at some point in time, they're going to want some justice. And at some point in time, whoever that justice is going to be against, a lawyer's going to get involved.
Okay.
If we could all come up with ways to stop that, man. They slaughtering our children out there in the streets. We need to stop that.
Yes, sir. We want to thank you so much.
Sister, I can say this, callers, and especially you, Coach, my brother, I respect you, but you, when we have the Ask a Lawyer program, we want you to put it in the form of a question. That's the way the show is formatted to. We on television, we on radio, we have time to take opinions on an issue. Just thank you, please, and try to adhere to that because we go through great lengths on putting on this show, and we want to be respectful to everybody.
Yes, and Attorney Dwyer, you in your closing remark with the telephone number, how to contact you. What
sure,
else?
and I just want to tell him that his point was well taken. We do understand, but one of the ways that you can go around that is make sure that you're electing good officials that are hearing you and listening to you. So that's one of the main ways. So as far as how you can contact me, you can contact me at 337-948-8008 extension 3. Once again, that's 337-948-8008 extension 3. I'm so glad to be here. I'll be here next week. Let us know any topics that you want me to discuss, and I don't have any issues with that.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you so very much. Yes.
Before you close?
Go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question,
Yes,
Attorney
sir.
Dewar. And this is something that has transpired in my family. I have a son that has a protective order.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, he's being denied. The protective order actually say that he has to be a certain feet from
Probably 100.
100 feet.
Mm-hmm.
However, the person that has the protective order on him has children for him.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, he's being actually denied to even have visitation rights because he cannot come in contact with the mother of his children. Every time he attempts to have contact with his children, he's always reminded that he has to be 100 feet away from her during the time of her having the children. So how do he get around that? What avenue should he take to somehow see his children without violating the protective order?
Okay, so two different things. A protective order and anything that's in a protective order is for a temporary period of time. In Baton Rouge, I know they do it for a year. In other places, I know they'll do it for 18 months, and then it can be extended for good cause. So that means that that's only in place for that time period. There's temporary custody. What he needs to do, he needs to file a petition for custody and visitation, because that's only temporary. And then as far as the distance is concerned, I'm not sure how old the kids are, but they do have what's called door-to-door. So that means that he don't even have to get out of his car. If they have some kids that are old enough to walk, he can pull up, the kids can come from the house door to his door, and he don't even have to deal with her. Make sense?
Makes sense. Yes, ma'am. And I mean, it makes sense, but when we have one party that's being belligerent, that's denying.
Right.
That's
so
denying
that's
the
why
child
he
to
needs to
even walk to the car.
Well, that's why he needs to file a petition, because as of right now, based on what you're saying, they don't have any type of quote-unquote permanent custody. They just have the temporary that's in the protective order. So he needs to file a petition for custody to actually get some visitation and custodial periods with the kids.
Yes, ma'am. That's understood. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes, well, we want to thank Attorney Dwight for coming in on Wednesdays, giving up her time and her valuable information. A caller called in. She said she needed your number. Your telephone number is
337-948-8008, extension 3. I'll say it 2 more times.
Yes.
Because I know I talk fast sometimes. Y'all just have to let me know. 337-948-8008, extension 3. Last time, 337-948-8008, extension 3. Thank y'all.
Yes, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, and hopefully have you back. Now we gonna segue into this segment where we have New Ivory City Council person Dee Dee Johnson Reed. She got some great information. Briefly, she wanted update us on the St. Matthew Cemetery situation and the 504 grants that meeting that gonna be coming up, or if it hasn't happened already, how to get valuable information. Welcome, Councilman Reed.
Thank you so much, and thanks again for having me. And good morning to everyone.
Yes.
I just wanted to kind of let everybody know, St. Matthew's Cemetery is in District 5, and I was receiving a lot of complaints about the grass being overgrown. So I went out there and I looked at it, and everybody was right, it's in deplorable condition. So we were trying to figure out what's the best way to get this graveyard cleaned up. And not just because it's in District 5, but because it is a historic place of rest for our African American ancestors. Most people don't even realize that this was the first graveyard where black people were allowed to be buried in the city of New Iberia. So almost everybody who's lived in New Iberia at some point probably has an ancestor that is buried in that graveyard. And the graveyard is not being maintained because once all these different churches were able to go and create their own graveyard, this graveyard kind of just was left behind. And there's no church associated with it. And the person who's kind of been running the show, he's tried to keep the plots low so people have a place to bury their loved ones that's affordable. But the math doesn't work. The maintenance of this graveyard is more than what he's charging for the plots that he's selling throughout the year. And so because of that, he's having to come out of his pocket to pay for the maintenance of this graveyard, and he is still working and he's sickly, and so he just doesn't have the finances to make sure that this thing is maintained. And I will say that over the years, there have been lots of volunteer groups that have come out and they've tried to clean up the graveyard, but the problem with just using volunteers is that it's not consistent. And what we need is a program in place that will allow us to maintain this graveyard in perpetuity, because this graveyard will have to be maintained even when all of us are gone. And so what I came up with is something that, it's not rocket science, they do it in other graveyards, is to ask for everybody who has a loved one that's buried in that graveyard to pay like a cemetery tax to maintain it. So you're gonna pay $12 a year to maintain your loved one's grave. And so that would mean that all the grass will be cut around there, and you'll be able to walk in there and go and see that grave whenever you like. And then for, this graveyard is historic, so we have graves in there that are over 100 years old. So I'm sure there are relatives that are so far away, we don't even know where they are. But if each one of us in the community would adopt a grave and pay that $12 a year to maintain that grave, we can maintain the whole graveyard for the entire community. And so I've talked with the person who inherited this graveyard, and he's willing to let us collect this money and use this just for the maintenance of the graveyard. He's not trying to get any money out of this. He needs help, and he's willing to take whatever help he can get. So I'm asking the community to help me, to help all of us restore this place of rest for our loved ones into something that we would all be proud to be buried in. So that's kind of where we are on the St. Matthew's Cemetery.
Good morning, Ms. D. My name is Shahid, and there's a question I want to impose, because sometimes when I hear information like that, and I know that sometimes I can have erroneous information in my head. So the first question I want to ask, graveyards, I always was under understanding that the city cares for graveyards. However, the way you are explaining it, as if the graveyards are privately owned.
That's
And
correct.
if if they are privately owned, the caretaker, whoever owns it, do they have a sole responsibility to see that these graves are kept up?
So no, so here's the deal. I'll give you an example of St. Edward's Church. Another church that's been in the community over 100 years. They have a graveyard. They're actually about to build another one. But if you are buried in St. Edward's graveyard, someone in your family pays $12 a year to maintain that grave. If you don't keep up your cemetery tax, St. Edward's will not let you come in there and bury somebody else. You have to pay $12 a year to maintain it. That's the case with almost every grave. I can't think of one graveyard that I know of, and maybe there's some that I don't know of, but where you can just bury your loved one and then walk away and expect somebody else to maintain it in perpetuity. It's almost unheard of, and I don't know how it got set up this way, and I'm sure it's because all the other churches, created their own graveyard, but this will not allow us to maintain this place of rest if we don't invest some money into it every single year.
It's obvious. I think it's very obvious that a lot of people that probably bury their loved ones in these graveyards is not of that understanding.
I agree.
And it's simply, and I mean that information definitely need to be placed out there where they could become, we as citizens or people that have loved ones buried in these cemeteries have to have the knowledge of it.
Yes, I have most of my family members, my father, my brother, my brother-in-law, and we try to maintain it as possible, but it's so much that one person could do for one graveyard, because you have overgrowth, you have crowding and stuff like that. That's another thing. I hope we address the crowding of that particular graveyard,
Yes,
that's
yes.
another thing.
That's right. Well, I mean, my grandfather's buried there,
Yes.
and it's so overgrown in that area, I can't even get to his grave.
Yes.
And see,
Wow.
and so I want to fix this, not just for the community, but for my family too. I'd love to go and visit my grandfather's grave, but I can't even get to it.
Yes.
And I know there are other loved ones, there are people that are the same way, and so the fact is that it is my responsibility to make sure that I pay something so that someone maintains this grave, because I'm not able to do it every week or every other week, because grass grows fast in Louisiana, and it grows for longer periods of time than it does in other parts of the country. We need to be cutting grass for almost 9 months a year.
Yes.
So this additional $12 that you're mentioning, this $12 that you're mentioning, will it go? Who do we actually pay that to?
That's the good.
And I know.
Here's the thing. So go ahead, finish your question. I apologize. I
Well,
didn't mean to
my
interrupt you.
question was, who do we actually pay that to? And when the graves is not kept up, who become accountable for their irresponsibility towards these grave sites?
So here's the plan. So right now, you can send the money to me, but I'm working with Mr. Bolden to create a separate account for this money. Now, right now, you're gonna be able to hold me accountable until we come up with who's gonna, take this on in the
Yes.
future. Because what I'm doing is, once we kind of get these graves adopted, my plan is to put the maintenance of this graveyard out to bid, so we can get a landscape company that we pay to maintain it. So nobody else has to go out there and cut grass, that the landscaping company will come in and maintain it. But before we can even do that, we gotta clean it up, because no one's gonna come in there right now. I mean, I have some guy there that's working on it right now, but, I mean, the rain has kinda held him up, but, I mean, we're gonna get it done. But then we'll ask for a landscaping company to come in and maintain the graveyard moving forward.
And
That's what the money is for, to pay them.
And what I appreciate, at least someone is thinking of a master plan, Ms. Dee Dee.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's what we gotta hope that our elected officials and even community members come up with ideas to help the community. Because this grave, when I saw that, I said, well, we got to push this issue out because it's near and dear to me. It's near and dear to a lot of people in the city of New Iberia.
Yes, and I want to say this, that having the opportunity to even speak with you or hear you from last week, coupled with the fact of this discussion today, I pray that you continue the good work, continue the efforts, and changing and bettering our community.
Yeah. Now I briefly want to, and again, we could say, you will give us that information, but I want to briefly segue before we go into our, I guess, at the top of the hour, give us a little bit more about the 504 situation grants.
Okay, so the USDA has a program called the Section 504 Repair Grant, and it is for seniors that are 62 and over who actually need to make some repairs to their homes, and usually these seniors have to be low income. Some health and safety repairs to their home, where they can actually apply to receive a grant for up to $7,500 from the USDA. The couple of requirements: one, you have to be 62, and two, you have to own your home, and you have to make that your primary residence. Okay, so those three things are in place, and then you have to make less than $28,800 with 1 to 4 people in your family. If you meet those basic requirements, then there's a good chance you can get up to $7,500 to have someone make repairs on your home. Now, here's the catch, and I want people to understand this. You have to find your own carpenter or contractor, because the USDA doesn't have like a list of contractors, but we have a bunch of them throughout the city of New Iberia. You'll need somebody to come in, give an estimate on the repairs that you're asking them to make, take pictures of it, and that will be part of your application that you send in. But there are quite a few people around here, and the person doesn't have to be a licensed contractor. They just have to, know how to do this kind of work. So my suggestion is you pick somebody who you can trust, because, you want to make sure that they're going to be able to do a good job on whatever repairs you're asking them to make on your home. But if you do that, then we submit the application, you come back and you can give the money to fix your home. Yeah. And again, it's free money as long as you don't sell your house in the next 3 years to make repairs.
And Councilman Dee, y'all have a meeting already? It happened already, or y'all having it tonight?
So the meeting is tonight, and it's really just me giving people more information about it and walking them through how to fill out the application. And then even for people who run into problems and not sure how to do it, there'll be a sign-up sheet so that I can sit with them so that they can, we can work through it together. But the meeting tonight at 6 p.m. at the Slyman Theater.
So as in New Iberia, the Slyman Theater on Main Street?
On Main Street, that's correct, on Main Street.
Okay, please, people, I'm keeping you briefly. We have to go to our other segment, but we hope to bring you in. We appreciate that information. And again, to contact you, City Councilman Dee Dee Johnson Reed, on the issue of the graveyard. I'm saying, listening audience, Sister Khadijah, I'm pledging $12 plus more. We got family members committed to go to help start. I hope people who are listening contact the City Councilman. Please help us with that endeavor. It's a great, noble endeavor. Our loved ones are buried there.
Absolutely. So, and thanks again for letting me have an opportunity to get the word out.
Okay, thank you so much.
The income, what's the income? How much you supposed to have? Not me?
So
how much you?
I think she's off. Dee Dee, she has a question.
How much how much you supposed to make?
Talking about for the grant?
Yes.
So you have to make under $28,800 a year. And that would be for everybody in the household. So if you live there and you have an adult child and they work, you have to add both of your incomes together. But if you live there by yourself, then most seniors, they fall below that threshold.
Okay. And that program, you could go to the website, the USDA website, because I've been there before. People who live outside of New Iberia, you could go to the meeting in New Iberia, you could still get that information from Councilman Dee Dee, but you also could go to the website and call them and get, because we hope to bring them on the radio in the future, the people out there who run in the program, who based out of Alexandria, Louisiana.
That is correct. I
Yes.
mean, it's under the single family housing, because
Yes.
there's also a loan program, so you can also, if you need more than $7,500 worth of repairs, you can get up to $20,000 loan.
Praise. Yes.
Thank
Oh,
you so much.
Okay, well, thank you so
My
much,
pleasure.
Council. Thank
All right,
you.
y'all have a good day.
Great,
Bye-bye.
great. Brother Shahi, we going into this next segment with?
Yeah, this is gonna be a powerful segment here, man. We got Mr. Anderson here.
Anthony DeVore.
Mr. Anthony DeVore, and he always imparts some very powerful information to us. Keep us abreast with what's going on by combining, you know, both the past and bringing it to the present day.
But you know he's a veteran, an old school veteran.
Yes,
Not
sir.
only the first law enforcement, but he's a veteran of AOC Community Media.
That's right.
How did that acronym come up? I thought Anthony had left AOC. He's back at AOC with the executive director, I think.
Yes, I think that's because he understands the need for our community to get a basic understanding of what's going on and where we should be heading.
I'm
Welcome.
glad y'all believe that.
There you go,
Mr.
I'm glad y'all believe that, but anyhow,
Well,
I'm here to do what I can.
He's here at the station to weed out corruption within KIEE and AOC Community Media. He's a law enforcement person.
Okay, Khadija, let's go. Let's shut them up.
Yes. Go ahead. We were having the discussion. We were having a discussion about the monies that Lafayette Parish is awarded. I mean, it's $85 million.
Yeah, 85 point,
Okay.
I have the article here, it's 85. I got so many different things here.
Well,
Here you
I'll
go.
get you back with you.
All right, $85 million. We do know that.
$85.5 million, that the city and the parish of Lafayette is gonna receive, from the COVID relief fund.
Okay.
And this money is supposed to be used for economic development, for jobs, and for various other things in the community. Okay, and what happened was that, we had notification, I say we, the government, had notification that this money was coming, you know, in advance. But nobody in the community knew that until, Mayor, President Gilliford, decided to request from the parish council and the city council, each member to present to him a list of priorities for that district.
Yes.
However, there's always a however.
Yes, however.
However, one councilman had not been asked to give a list of priorities. And that councilman, you know, represent the downtown district and the largest black district in the city of Lafayette. Okay, he had not been asked to present a list. In fact, at the city council meeting was when he realized that this had come about, that the city of Lafayette and the parish was gonna get this money. Now the mayor has proposed that 34 point something million to the city and 35 point something million to the parish, or vice versa, you know? And my question is, why was it necessary for him to not ask the councilman from the largest district, the black district? See, his district is the largest district, but it's also the black district, predominantly black. Now, and my question is, why was he not asked? Do we not need anything in our sector of the community? You know, I recently went on a doctor's visit on the south side on Settlers Chase.
Okay.
And every street was as smooth as the babies, you know what? You know, I saw people working, you know, making some improvement on one corner. I saw city people further down the street working with what seemingly looked like private property, cleaning it up, you know, with trees and removing trees. The streets are all clean, you know, I saw no police around, you know, so my question is, what do they need more than we need in our district? You know, we have crime, we have trash all over the place, you know, we have lots of people with no jobs. You know, when you call the city to come and do something or get some information from the city agencies, we have to go through, you know, this rigmarole before we get services, even before we get an answer. Sometimes you don't even get to respond, a response from a human being, you know. So we have a lot of issues in our community that are not addressed. And again, I don't know what happened at the meeting last night, the city council meeting last night. He made his proposal last night, his presentation last night. I wasn't there, but I can only speak from what I've read in the paper and the articles that you know, from the past, and the information that I got from my own city councilman. I called Councilman Pat Lewis and asked him, why was this guy not, you know, why was your comrade not asked to submit his proposal or his list? And his response was, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yes, and the councilman that,
Councilman Lazard.
You're talking about is Glenn Lazard.
Yeah.
Yes, I had called him and I had asked him, about the monies that was being given to Lafayette Parish, and I had asked him, why didn't he submit anything? And he said that it's only a proposal. He said that, Wednesday coming up, that's tonight, that they was gonna have a meeting either at the Clifton Chenier
Yeah.
Center at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And he wanted to find out from his community, what is it that they want, him to ask for. So I don't know if it's.
So wait a while.
I don't know.
I understand it's a proposal.
Yeah.
But he asked all the other councilmen and the parish councilmen in advance of this, why didn't he ask mine? You know, what was the purpose of not asking mine? You know, everybody knows what the needs of the black community is. Mm-hmm. Everybody.
That's right.
Everybody knows. There's no secret.
Yes.
You know.
And yeah, and that's something I'm pretty not understanding. If he coming, we having this meeting tonight at the Clifton Chenier building. We having this meeting as where he imposing a question to his constituents as to what need to be done in our community. As our representative, we voted him in with the understanding that he understands the need that need to be imposed in our community. So I'm under the understanding that a proposal or a list of things that needed to be implemented should have been presented long time ago, when this money was being distributed.
Well, he got the proposal in advance from everybody else.
Okay.
You know, from everybody else. In advance, he said, present me with this proposal. Last night, he present with his program, what he proposes to do with the money last night. And nothing in his agenda last night apparently was in his proposal about what we need for this district, for the black district. You see, and my question is, why are they doing that? Why is this occurring? And you know, I don't have the answer, but I have a you know, in the back of my head, you know, you come up with ideas, and I have an idea what it is. You know, we're going in the country right now, we're going through this voter registration thing and this voter thing. Well, this district is the largest district in the city, okay? And it's composed of primarily black people, okay? And this is just another application, you know, of denying us our rights. We have a right to have some of that money, you know, because it's public money. You know, no matter what agency it comes from, it comes from us, the taxpayers. Mm-hmm. So if he's gonna spend taxpayers' money, then he should do it equitably. He should do it as fairly as he could, and he should do it according to priorities, where the need is. Okay, and we have the need in our community. So to me, this is just an extension of the voting rights thing. You know, people in this country and in this community will walk around and say, well, I don't need to vote, you know, they're gonna take care of us and all of this. But this is just an extension of that, you see?
Yes, and I know last night, well, I did see last night that, Parks and Recreation, Parks and Recreation received $1 million, I know I seen the Robichaud Center right there, they received $1 million. So, evidently at the meeting tonight, at 6 o'clock at the Clinton Chenier Center, we could go ahead and suggest to Mr. Glenn Lazard that, okay, we need, the things that we need done in our communities.
After the fact.
And, request something for, he could give, so much, hundreds of $1,000s to AOC where we could continue to do the work that we need to do. He could request, we could, get better, road work, schooling, after school programs, computers.
I smell a rat.
You
I smell a rat.
You smell
It's
a rat?
after the fact, okay? It's paying us to support him. It's encouraging the black community to come out and support him when he come up for mayor or whatever else he wanna run for. You know, he didn't make that same proposal, that same program available to anybody else in the community, black or white. He just made that proposal only to us, okay? So, what he's effectively doing is he's dividing our community. And we playing along with the game. You know, I'm getting, you know, I don't want to make this personal, but sometimes you got to. I'm getting sick and tired of this. You know, whenever we need something in the community done on our side of town, oh, there's no money in the budget, there's no money for this, and there's no money, you know, but when they want to do something on the south side, or when they have their own personal agendas, they find money in the cushion of the sofa, you know, behind the toilet seat. They find money everywhere, you know. Now, look, we don't have a library on the north side. They just spent upward of $30 million in Scott to build a library in Scott. We have a library on the south side. We have a library in Carencro. We have a library in Broussard. And if my memory serves me right, we have something that's adjacent to Scott, you know, on the back, I mean to Youngsville, in Broussard, off of Ambassador Cafe, somewhere in that area. You know, when it came down to cutting the budget, you know, he wanted to cut the budget by closing recreation centers in our community. Look, I could tell you 20 places that he could have gone before. You know, they're spending millions of dollars to come up with this Monson Park or whatever this park they're going to call it,
yes.
on Johnson Street.
Yes, I remember.
Well, the way the birds fly, you're less than a mile from Girard Park. And Girard Park, you're less than a mile from, you know, down the road from Beaver. What's the purpose of Beaver Park when you got Hyman Park? You know, and on and on. Look, the recreation center next to Como High School, I've been in that. Look, I was a policeman all those years. I didn't know that place was back there until I got an invitation to go there, okay? And I've never been there but one time in my whole life. And that place only served Como High School. They use it for after-school projects. You know, look at the swimming pool on St. Landry Street, the Robichaud Center, I think it is. Is that the Robichaud Center?
Well, the Robichaud Center, Eras Landry.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
Look at the swimming pool. You know, the swimming pool, we the taxpayers paid for that, but it's used for all the activities of swimming for the school events, for Lafayette High and the other schools in that area, you know, and all of us pay for that. All of us pay for that, you know. And you know, the list go on and on. Look at what they're doing with the school on the US with the recreation center on Pondemuta Road. They're now gonna rent full classes to the private school down the road. You know, they're gonna rent them you know, and that place was not designed to be a school, it was designed to be a recreation center and a community center. It's not a school, but they're gonna convert it for the private sector to finish building their private school, you know, at the expense of us, the citizens. You know, and the list goes on and on. There's so many things, you know, that we need in this community, in our community. There's so many things that we need, you know, look on the weekends. You notice why the police are on the weekend?
Oh, yes.
It look not Lafayette look like an occupation place. Like, you know, it looked like East Germany or something with the police everywhere.
Yes, that
You know,
is true.
but go down Community Boulevard, go down Ambassador Cafe, go down and speaking of Community Boulevard, look, I went down Community Boulevard the other day, so clean, so pristine, but travel down North University, travel down Simcoe, travel down the thruway, just the thruway from our, you know, in our sector of the community. Look, I could write a book, but I don't wanna do that, cause I know you don't have that much time.
That's right.
But it's time for us to wake up and smell the roses. You know, I'm calling on black people, let's do what we can. You know, those of us who can do petition in our neighborhood, let's do petitions. Those of us who can do voter registration, let's do voter registration. Those of us who can go to the meetings, go to the meetings. You know, but we need to come together and realize that in the black community, it's us. Mm-hmm. And not just us, because there are poor white people that live in all of the communities too. And we not to just make this, not to make this just a racial thing. It's a people thing. It's about people, you know? And we are not being treated right, and we need to come together. We need to put aside our differences and work on issues that benefit everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's obvious, you know, you mentioned certain areas like the Thruway, North University, and these places definitely need some upgrading.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely need some upgrading. And I know that a lot of times we say that it's on the community, you know. But when I say that, I mean this is some of what some of the constituents say, or let me say some of the officials may say, that we need to clean it up because this is your community. We need, but as a taxpayer, they become as a taxpayer and placing people in positions to carry out these efforts. We have a right to address that by way of our public officials.
Yes, but look, you're right. We have a right to address that by way of our public officials. But let's talk about tax. Let's just talk about tax. Not necessarily Louisiana, but you know, but I'm gonna bring this up. We pay property tax, school board tax, gasoline tax, sales tax, food tax. We buy a car, we pay tax. The man who sells us the car pay an inventory tax, a storage tax. You know, we pay. I mean, you know, I could go on and list about 20, 25 different taxes that we pay. We pay parish tax, city tax, you know, library tax, you know, and on and on. Well, you know, we overtaxed, you know, but we get nothing for in my community. Now, you know, I'm speaking about my community. My community get nothing. We get hardly nothing for the tax we pay. You know, so one of the issues we need to support is tax reform in the state of Louisiana. But we need to question where our tax money is going. You know, how come we can't get police when we need them? When we don't need them, we get them. When we need them, we can't get them. How come we can't get a library? How come we can't get services from the community? How come we can't get our trash picked up, you know,
the way it's supposed to.
when we need it to be picked up? How come drainage? How come they can't do nothing about drainage on the north side? How come? You know, don't our money count for something too? You know, so look, I'm getting to the point that I want to make here, is that we need to get involved. You know, we need to stop looking at one another and say, look, I don't support you because you don't, when black people run in the black neighborhood, and we go to black people and say, you know, support this person, support that person, they say, well, he don't come drink with us on the, you know, and he don't belong to my church, and he don't belong. Look, it's time for us to cut this out. We're all in this. All of us, every one of us is in this boat together. If the boat sink, we all sink.
That's right.
You understand? So we need to stop all of that stuff, stop all that bickering, and start supporting one another and start working for our community. Look, the other day, you know, I digress sometimes. The other day, I saw an advertisement on the TV about this man who on Louis XIV talking about picking up trash, talking about, you know, I'm picking up trash, you know, and for the good of the community. But somebody had to go put that trash there for him to pick it up with the camera. Because when I go down Louis XIV, I have never, ever in my life seen any trash on Louis XIV. You know, and he talk about his business is here because he loved Lafayette. I know what happened back on Cameron Street when he first wanted to put his business here, and he wanted to put it on he didn't want to put it on Cameron Street. He threatened the community by saying, look, I'm gonna take my business to Colorado if y'all don't transfer this district so that I could build my business over there on Louis XIV. You know, people forget these kinds of things. You know, people forget these kinds of things, and what happens is that when these people come out and do things like that, they're looking for something in the future.
Yes. Well, caller, you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I have a comment. To the brother that's talking right now, we appreciate you, organizational people that want to participate with what you're doing. And we need more of that happening in all communities. And I'm glad to know that it's happening in the community that he's putting this together in. If it's New Iberia, amen. Brother Jay and Sister Khadijah,
yes,
y'all for everything y'all do. And I will always try to put my statements in that question because I know y'all work hard to put these shows together, and I don't want to ever be the point that interrupts it and make it go the wrong way. So Coach is going to remember, put my questions in a question, and if I got an opinion, to shorten the opinion because it's got to go fast. I respect y'all two people. I love y'all two people. Y'all got a great show, and I know it takes time to put this together, sometimes 7 days or whatever. So y'all keep up the good work. And it's just that passion that y'all heard in Coach a while ago, because I'm just tired of seeing our children dying.
Yeah, and thank you, Coach. And Coach, we're gonna bring you on to talk about what you got is some profound ideas about the killings in the community. We need to address that. Anytime you want to schedule, just call Sister Khadijah. We'll bring you on, give you the whole floor.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
I appreciate you, brother.
Well, I have a number, and I will, guys. I will. Thank you.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
And look, I'm glad that she called back, you know, because sometimes out of chaos come good.
That's right.
You know, sometimes out of chaos come good, and out of confusion sometimes comes some good things, some good ideas. So I'm glad she called back, and I'm glad y'all agreed to work with her.
Yeah, that's Coach right here in Lafayette.
Yeah, I want to just make a correction here. You had mentioned that there was no library here on the north side.
Where is?
Well, there's one on Congress in Lafayette.
Hey, come on.
Okay,
I'm talking about.
Talk to me.
I'm talking about on the other side of the railroad track.
Yes, sir.
See, I'm talking about down Alexander Street in that area. I'm talking about that whole area. I'm talking about back here in Macomb, BJ. You know, where black people live. Point to me where there's one line. Well, there is one. There is one. There was a little room at the King Center.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a little bitty room at the King Center with a few books that nobody knew nothing about. The only way you found out about it is if you went there for an activity and you wandered around the building and you seen it and you said, what's that room over there? And you get over there and that's that little bitty library. You know, and that's not a library.
Yeah.
You know?
Reading.
Yeah. Not even a good reading room.
Well, yes, indeed. We.
You know, so look, and look, we got so many issues in Louisiana and in Lafayette that we need to deal with. You know, one of the issues in Louisiana, I was reading in the paper the other day. In fact, I brought part of the article with me about the oil and gas industry. Look, it's time that we do something about these people for looting our state and killing off our air, the fish in the water, the land. Look, these people got a free ride. They really do get a free ride. Okay. Look, when I was working for DOTD, I would go out in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes to inspect, and I'd see these great big old trucks on I-10 going real slow, and I got to wondering about that. So I went back to the weigh station and I talked to one of the guys about that. He said, well, you didn't notice that something was coming out the back of the truck? And I thought about that, and I said, yeah, I thought that maybe the spigot had been not closed tight. Well, what they would do back then was they would go down I-10 real slow, and they open up the spigots in the back, and all that pollution, all that waste would come down and wash. And when rain would come, the rain would wash it off into the Chaffalaya Basin. That's just, there's so many ways that they polluted the state. That's one of the things we need to get involved. These companies, they come here, they take our oil, they destroy our land, they eat up all the best foods, they do all kinds of things that's destructive. They bank their money in Delaware, their corporations are in Delaware, the corporations are in Texas, not in Louisiana. So, when people say, well, we're making a lot of money with oil, I wonder where. How are we making it?
Anthony.
The politicians are getting it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Anthony.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Louisiana had, last 40 years, right? Oil and gas thing. The politicians run on that notion. But the whole genre is changing, renewable energy, and so forth. They already have a lot of evidence scientifically by the universities out here that part of the problem with is coastal erosion, because they dug up a lot of canals on the coast, and part of it is
cut all the trees down.
Yeah, cut all the trees down. Louisiana coastline is sinking. They got all that evidence to point to that. But when those companies come to Louisiana, they're always with some type of financial incentive, tax breaks and so forth, where they don't pay any amount of taxes or anything. But their promise is jobs. But how has Louisiana really benefited when you got the rating system from universities, institution that Louisiana is statistically last, when the oil and gas industry was supposed to contribute heavily to not just jobs, but to education and everything else?
But wait, stop. Let me stop.
Go ahead.
Look, I appreciate the job. Okay, I really do.
Right.
Because they create jobs everywhere they go. Okay, but they don't pollute everywhere they go.
Right.
And they pay their fair share everywhere they go. But they don't pay nothing here, practically nothing.
Right.
Here, and we got some rewards, Cancer Alley.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, and on, but a big incentive for me is Cancer Alley.
Yeah.
That's enough to me. When I worked at DOTD at Weights and Standard, I can tell you about how they had that. You remember in India when they had this gas escape and kill all of those people?
Oh yes.
Okay. Well, that's a place. That's something similar to that in Louisiana. There's a place at the end of the world, they call that little community back there, where we have to close that place down from 9 o'clock at night to 2 o'clock in the morning to let these chemical trucks come out. Wow. Okay? Because the stuff is so dangerous that it get in the air, it'll kill everybody. Look at in Baton Rouge. Look at all the pollution in Baton Rouge. Look at Lake Charles and that whole sector from Lake Charles back to the state line. Look at how all the pollution everything is dead out there when you travel out there.
That's right.
Everything, you look to the left is dead, you look to the right is dead, and on and on. We got mega problems, but our problem, you know, I don't blame the oil companies, no, you know. I blame the politicians, like you said, starting with Leander Perez. Starting with him, he's the creator of all of that.
One more, I want to segue into this, and you've been a member of law enforcement. I mean, you started out in law enforcement, and you know, the Louisiana State Police right now. Here where I'm going. They're being put forth in the media as a operation that needs to be federally investigated based on the fact of what happened in Monroe with the Ronald Green case, and they're starting to find more and more stories pertaining to the way they cover up such incidents. Do you think the feds need to come in and investigate them from top to down? But lastly, they just recently appointed. I saw an article where 3 Louisiana State Police recently have, for the first in history,